Welcome back on the program. Let's continue the conversation this time around the Nigeria's energy sector. But first, let's step into the marketplace and try to review the Friday's trading among the big seven. For you, corn oil was down about 5% on Friday, on the back of about 600,000 shares, 32.59. That stock has been hit in recent days, largely because of its disappointing second quarter numbers. The annual shareholders meeting for 2016 was held sometime last week, and all the good news about moving forward from there. We'll see how the market will begin to react to that stock starting from this week, having heard from the board of directors and the managers late last week. This is a brand new week, and we'll see how the market. But that was Friday closing numbers for you. 40 oil is back at 54, up by 0.5%. Almost the same number of shares with corn oil. This integrated energy trader also had its numbers in the market. What's the look ahead for 40 oil? We'll see how the market will begin to price in what they know and expectations from 40 oil. Mobile was unchanged at 236.90. That's the Pt.1 PLC company now in the trading engine at the stock exchange. A very small number. Look at that, 20 units. MR is 35.44. The price was unchanged on Friday. Wando was up about 5%, back to 758. That's a massive 1.475 million ordinary shares. Seplat, the only EMP, was a grey 47010. That's most of the price last week. Total 249, also unchanged when the market finished off on Friday. Now the big story from the oil and gas space this morning is the refining battle for Lagos. Dangote Refinery is the big boy in the Lagos backwater, and that's always been in the news. But since that announcement, we've seen a number of other oil companies angling to have a share of what Lagos is gradually becoming, instead of just the high-rise buildings on Lagos Island and elsewhere. Now the oil and gas companies are doing business at the backwaters, from Ladol to Dangote to Integrated. And that's where the story is coming from. That the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, called the USTDA, has reportedly approved $1 million for engineering design of about 20,000 of the 20,000 barrels per day, a coal, petrochemical and refining company modular facility. That refinery, about called modular, that's a technical word for very small refinery like the one you have in Delta State, could just produce just perhaps only diesel. So that's the news this morning. This is a partnership between the owners of this refinery, the Eco Petrochemical and Refining Company, and the USTDA, and the partnership deal is what we're talking about. The total investment in this refinery project is about $250 million. That's a small fry compared to Dangote's $9 billion refinery. So the modular refinery by Eco Petrochemical will be located at Tomorrow Industrial Park in Lagos. I'm going to check Lagos map where this is located. But of course, the Dangote refinery is just after the Lekki export processing zone. If you go all the way down to Ekwe, you can just branch off the highway and head down there. The Tomorrow Industrial Park, I've got to find out on Lagos map, with all the refineries doing business close to the waters. I just don't like so much waters anyway. So I'm up here. So the Dangote refinery is the big boy, as you have heard, and that refinery is due for completion in 2019. Now, this morning, since this news hit the wires, and Twitter has been a little bit hot as to what's the price of this modular refinery and what are the Americans doing here as far as that refinery is concerned. We've got a few folks on Twitter, and here they come. And there's one individual who's been really outspoken today about this deal, and he's been tweeting, Godspeed. That's his, I guess that's his Twitter name, replying to a bit of the news and what I also retweeted. And he says it's nothing, that the $1 million from the U.S., he says nothing to cheer, considering that USTDA gave $1 million grant to a Nigerian company to pay U.S. companies for detailed engineering to buy a U.S. modular refinery. I'm trying to understand what that means. The $1 million is just not enough. They just for the U.S. To take the money from the left hand and put it in the right pocket and put it in the other one. I went on to say that USTDA isn't an NGO. It's simple. USTDA gave $1 million grant as bait to capture the $250 million the modular refinery promoters are planning to spend. He's trying to say, if I may just explain that, if I get that correctly, that the U.S. are finding a way to get into that $250 million refinery project. There's another tweet regarding that. It says, look at the cost. It said, in Papua New Guinea, spent the same amount for a 30,000 barrels per day plant. So $250 million is unjustifiably $50 million above the current benchmark market estimate for a 20,000 barrels per day. These are the guys who know the numbers. Then there's another tweet. That the 20,000 barrels per day modular refinery is most likely just distillations or what you call the single product, well, like I said, diesel, and no conversions that will end in miserable margins. And finally, this is it. It says, except this new modular refinery, guys, will rely on Dangote refinery for conversions. Any modular refinery less than 50 barrels per day, 50,000 barrels per day, situated in Lagos, will end as an investment disaster. That, all in caps, was how it was put on Twitter. You want to get on the Twitter conversation? Join us at Channels TV or at B's Morning, or tweet at me at B Bolson. Let's get Jubril Karim, who is an energy research analyst at EcoBank, to weigh in on this conversation. Jubril, you've seen all the tweets and the story this morning around this. It looks like the battle is here for Lagos, the home of refinery, brand new private sector refinery in Nigeria. Do you agree? Good morning, by the way.
Good morning, Bosun. Thank you for having me. Well, I think there's really a strategic reason why Lagos seems to be attracting all these investments. Because if you look at the long-term plan for most of these refineries, most importantly, the Dangote refinery is a 650,000 barrels